Welcome to Boosting Productivity with ChatGPT. Writers of movies and TV shows are striking not only for higher pay, but because they want assurances that Hollywood studios will not use AI to create movie scripts and TV scripts in the future. And their concerns might well be warranted. There's reports from Bloomberg that IBM is pausing hiring for jobs that AI could do. The Wall Street Journal reports that the white-collar job is disappearing due to technologies such as AI. And from the UK, a newspaper there is calling the recent layoffs over the last year or so the start of the great AI jobs bloodbath. So to what extent is there truth to all this kind of media hype that generative AI is taking away jobs? What is really going on here? And what does it mean for the future of jobs and for the future of productivity in jobs? Well, here at PreScouter, for over a decade, we've been helping our clients answer questions such as these. We're essentially an innovation consulting firm that's particularly strong in science and technology. We work with the world's top companies to help them with their most pressing innovation challenges, whether it's developing a therapeutic for targeting a particular protein molecule in the body or for identifying new lower cost supplies. So for each of these types of challenges, what we do is we pull on a global network of experts who are at the cutting edge, who provide our clients with the insights they need. And for this particular challenge and these particular questions that people have been having around AI, we've been leveraging this network to make sure we're at the cutting edge and can advise our clients appropriately. We have experts in every facet of AI, from reinforcement learning to natural language processing. So first of all, let's answer these questions. Let's answer these questions by looking at why people believe ChatGPT and these technologies are taking away jobs. The evidence for this is almost in plain sight, and we can see this through a couple of examples. Very recently, ChatGPT introduced a module or a plugin called Code Interpreter. And so what I'd like to do is walk you through how Code Interpreter completely changes the game when it comes to data analysis. I'll do this by taking the spreadsheet here. So you'll see here in the spreadsheet that we have over 6,000 rows related to basically logistical information about the movement of trucks for a particular company. This data was taken from the internet. It relates to trucks moving around in India. So you'll see here that the data includes information on, for example, the origin location of where the trucks are going from to the destination location. We also have the longitude, latitude, but also we have things like the planned ETA for when these trucks were supposed to arrive, as well as the actual ETA. So this is a very dense data set with a lot of different columns and a lot of different rows. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into ChatGPT, load up the Code Interpreter module. So this Code Interpreter is a feature of ChatGPT Plus. We're going to basically upload this file, and as the file is uploaded, I'm going to copy and paste in a specific prompt that I have, which is you're a data scientist, an operational expert in the trucking logistics industry. So this is trucking information. Please do a comprehensive data analysis. So that's essentially the instructions I've given it. So it starts processing the data, running some initial analysis. It identifies the columns, kind of figures out, for example, the shape of the data, and also figures out there's actually a lot of missing numbers in a lot of the data. It does some summary statistics to get a sense of what's in the data, and then suggests a few possible analyses it could do. So the analysis of delays here, this looks like the most interesting. So let's point it in the direction of this. So it starts working on that, and you'll see now it's kind of going back through the data again with a focus on looking at the distribution of the data. And as we see here, it's actually run into some problems because the data is a little messy and needs to be cleaned up. So it's also now actually cleaning up the data to make it parsable and usable. And here we go. We have some initial results that it's found on the delays versus on-time trucking journeys. And we have a histogram of the number of trips and versus how long they were delayed for. And we can ask it to keep analyzing the trends. It asks, would you like to proceed? So we'll say, yes, let's proceed with analyzing the trends and patterns over time. And so we can dive further into this analysis to try and understand what's going on. And it does this by looking at, for example, grouping the data by time, number of delays and things like that. And it comes back with a plot and some other kind of insights and observations that it's found. So if you scroll back up, you'll see we now have essentially gone from an Excel data set to this chart in a matter of minutes. In a matter of minutes, we've taken this data and found some useful, interesting insights. In this particular case, there's a plot of the average duration of the delay against the time of year and the number of delays. So this is really kind of a game changer for data analysis. Another cutting edge kind of use case that we see is essentially doing document querying and manipulation. To do this, we're going to take this document here, which is a bring your own device policy, again, available on the internet. This is for Mansfield College, Mansfield University. It's a 5-page document that has kind of the various different clauses that you might expect from a bring your own device policy. And so what we can do is Control A, Control C, and we're going to paste this into ChatGPT. And once we pasted it in, I'll kind of go back. Let me go back up and kind of show you, like, this is the entire document that we've just copied and pasted in. So all of the clauses and everything is there. And then we're going to paste in now another prompt, which time we're going to say you're a cybersecurity expert with over 15 years experience in establishing security protocols for colleges and universities. Essentially, please review this policy and make some recommendations. So now it's kind of taking all that information and it's coming back with a number of recommendations for kind of improving this policy. It talks about doing regular policy reviews, and essentially some other things, data encryption, strong password policies, mobile device management, secure VPN access. And so these are all things that you could think of, this AI now acting almost like a subject matter expert, giving us a second opinion on this document. And we can actually maybe perhaps hone in on kind of this mobile device stuff. And perhaps, while we have this kind of subject matter expert type AI now familiar with this document, we can ask kind of follow-up questions. So maybe we can ask, maybe we'll say, what does the policy say about smartphones? So I'll paste that in, here we go, and select going. And now it's pulling out the relevant information from the document. So you can imagine that you might have long documents, and this is a quick way to get to the essence of them. Let's paste another one, which is, is this policy strong enough? How could this be strengthened? And now the subject matter expert, again, is going through and providing kind of stronger suggestions for clauses that we could add and why it would do so. And so one last step perhaps that we'll take is maybe incorporating one of these clauses, one of these suggestions. Perhaps we'll take the prohibiting jailbroken or rooted devices. So we can say to it, please update the policy to prohibit jailbroken or rooted devices, and provide back the full text. And with that, it kind of gets to work. And what you see now is, again, the original policy document with this additional clause and details for adding this. So you can see we've gone here from having an original document to kind of getting a second review of it from a kind of a subject matter expert type AI, to asking questions and then kind of reshaping this document to incorporate some of those recommendations. And we've done, again, all of this within a matter of minutes. And so these are just two powerful examples of how the actual work that people might do, right, from data analysis to knowledge transformation, essentially, is becoming kind of accelerated through this technology. But as we think about this, there are some problems that we come across when we think about doing this at scale. Providing everyone in your staff, everyone in your company with access to ChatGPT is a little bit problematic. Firstly, it's not a safe and confidential environment for teams to put in company data. Anything that you put in there could be used for further training, unless your employees kind of fiddle around with the settings and know what they're doing, which you can't trust most of them to do. So it's not a safe environment to actually do work. The second thing is, people would love, they tell us, our clients tell us they would love to have it preloaded with the company's information in this secure environment. So the dream of any company is to have their own secure, private ChatGPT where they can ask questions, their staff can ask questions without any worries about security and privacy and confidentiality. And then it also be preloaded with all of the company's information, such that they can ask questions of those, make new documents, some summaries and things like that. And so what we've done at PreScouter is actually build this tool. We've built a layer. This tool is essentially a layer on top of ChatGPT that provides this. And so I'm going to show you how this works. In this kind of fictional example, you can imagine this fictional kind of cabinets company has maybe 7 documents. Again, these documents are taken from the internet, but these 7 documents provide a range of different information about the things that relate to the company, such as the specifications of how these cabinets are put together, the types of qualifications required, and so on. So taking this initial document set, we've loaded it into our tool, Auxzee, and I'm going to flip over to our tool and start with basically a simple question that you could ask, as a new employee, what are things that I should learn? Maybe, we don't really have any information right now for onboarding people. So we can put in something like this. And what happens is it kind of pulls out all the information that we have in that repository and essentially puts together kind of a list of things for the new employee to start thinking through and learning. And so, again, kind of filling in the gap of perhaps a kind of a buddy or mentor to help with the training of onboarding someone. We can also ask questions and give it prompts to kind of, again, create new documents. For example, maybe we don't actually have a standardized checklist right now for how the cabinets should be made. So we could put that in, please provide a checklist for assembling the cabinets. And now, again, it goes into the documents that we have in our repository and uses that to essentially build a checklist that can be used by team members to put these cabinets together whenever they're on a work site, to build these cabinets, perhaps at a client's kitchen or wherever. And so we can kind of scroll back to the top and you see kind of goes through the steps step by step, one, verifying all the necessary components and so on, to anchoring the devices and cleaning up at the end. So again, this is new kind of knowledge and a new document that's been created based on the existing knowledge base that we have. So through these kind of 3 examples, I hope you can see that it's kind of easy to see how eventually AI might be able to do a lot of desk jobs. When you see how much this technology is able to do, you start to believe that jobs are just going to start disappearing in a flash. And there is some compression of time and in terms of how long the things take. But I think what we're finding is that in reality, the AI still has a lot of limitation compared to human intelligence. There's still a lot of limitations. Some of them are fixable. For example, if you have you might have heard of hallucinations, the AI kind of making up facts. Well, this does happen, but you can't fix this by focusing the AI on a specific data set. But there are other things which are not easily fixable. One of those, for example, is that it doesn't have free will. Right now, a human still needs to sit behind the computer and direct the AI to actually do the things that you want it done. And then the human needs to validate that the work is correct and it's kind of accurate. So you still need a human in the loop. Secondly, it doesn't really have any short-term memory. If you talk to someone and give them feedback, you'd expect the next time a similar situation occurs or in a week from now, they would retain that and they would adapt their approach. Whereas with the AI, if you ask it something today and the same thing next week and something changes in between, that change might not be reflected in what you get next week. So it's kind of a fairly static kind of intelligence. And then lastly, you can ask the same question two different ways and get two different answers, even though a human might realize they're actually the same question. And so there's intricacies like that. And then there's also kind of a lack of explainability. When it does provide an output, it's not easy to determine why it came to a certain conclusion. So for reasons such as these, the AI is a massive accelerator of productivity, but it's not necessarily going to remove the need for humans, as some people fear, at least not in the current state of the technology, not without these breakthroughs being addressed. So having said that, this is still a massive breakthrough technology. What we're seeing now is a massive breakthrough. And it's a massive breakthrough because the barrier to using AI is now almost zero. You see, in the past, as some of you might know, if you wanted to incorporate AI or use AI, you would need data scientists, AI engineers, and they would typically add a feature to an existing application. Maybe it's Google Maps, and the AI feature is how to get from A to B in the shortest amount of time. So it would be a feature to a specialized application. And just for that one feature from getting A to B, the engineers would have to collect maybe millions of data points, if not tens of thousands. And even once they've done that and built that AI model, it could only be used for that one specific problem, that one specific use, which is going from A to B. And all of this would be very, very expensive. In contrast, with this new generation of AI technology, the barrier is almost zero. So anyone who can write can now essentially access and use this technology. Anyone with a web browser can kind of get to use this technology. All it requires is a few sentences. You don't need millions of data points. And this is a highly flexible technology. It can be used in a wide range of ways. And ultimately, the cost is low. So for these reasons, this is a massive breakthrough. And so if this is a massive breakthrough, and it's not going to be such a breakthrough that's a perfect substitute for humans and human intelligence, what does this mean? What does this mean for the shape of jobs and how things will work in the future? Well, to answer this question, we can actually look at big technological revolutions of the past, and there have been many, and some would say some of those have been bigger than the current AI wave. One of those might be the actual printing press. So before the printing press, whenever knowledge was kind of documented, it would have to be hand copied, and you'd have scribes that would copy these books, and it could take a year or several years to make multiple copies. So the dissemination of scientific knowledge was almost non-existent. But with the printing press, it was now possible to create thousands of copies of books within a few weeks, and it was easier for scientific knowledge to disseminate and for kind of greater progress to be made much more quickly. And the Industrial Revolution with steam power saw people moving from jobs where they were farm-based to jobs in factories where things that used to be crafts, such as making clothes and shoes, became automated and manufactured at scale, creating new types of jobs in kind of the industrial revolution. And then more recently with computers, we've seen, for example, at banks, if you wanted to deposit money or withdraw money, you would have to go into the bank and talk to the teller to do this. And now we have ATM machines, but the banks still have people in the branches. They're just now personal bankers who are selling more sophisticated products like investments. And so you can see what happens with each of these big technological revolutions is that we do lose some jobs, but new jobs are created. And so the key is enabling everybody to make that shift from the jobs of the old to the jobs of new. And so when we think about the roles that we have in our companies and the staff that we have, we can think about the breakdown of their hours. So for example, if you have a researcher, they spend maybe 4 hours a day reading journal articles and getting up to speed with what's going on. Maybe they spend an hour a day writing and distilling what they've learned, and maybe doing some 2 hours in experiments, and maybe talking to subject matter experts for another hour. Some of these activities now can be substantially accelerated through the use of working with an AI technology. It could be, instead of having to read all of these journal articles, it could be having a Q&A session with an AI that has already read those articles for you. That AI could also summarize those articles. The actual physical work of experiments and prototyping would still probably stay the same. And then for preparing for talking to subject matter experts, again, the AI might be able to help with that preparation. So what all of this means is that jobs are changing. This technology is creating a massive boost in productivity. And what we as leaders have to do is look at how we can embrace the change rather than be left behind. So our companies and our teams and our organizations and in our own career, what we would encourage everyone to think about is how can we leverage this technology to start automating those routine tasks? And how can we use this technology as a secret weapon for those kind of non-routine tasks, where there are situations, for example, where it'd be great to have a subject matter expert to help you deliver that slightly more improved quality work output. This is that secret weapon to provide kind of on-demand expertise, as well as providing some automation of some of the routine work.